Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Thursday, September 7th of 2023. Trust you guys are having a wonderful week so far. Hopefully you guys had a great hump day. And it is Thursday. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Definitely appreciate you guys joining me here. I appreciate your subscription. If this is your first time to the channel, be sure to subscribe and like this video. Share it with your friends if it really made an impact, because I make daily astrology content, so you're not going to want to miss. All right, guys, let's go ahead and hop right into it today. Well, so we have this moon finishing up in Gemini today. It's in that last decade. So it starts off the day at 21 degrees. This is around 8:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? And we're going to see quite a few things start to develop today. One, we're going to see the sun trining Jupiter. It's trining it right now, but it's going to come more exact pretty much, later today, going into early tomorrow morning. It'll be trining Jupiter and pretty much all throughout the day. So we're feeling that energy start to come. We also are going to have a moon that is going to be in square to Neptune. That's going to be happening on later on today. But before it hits that, it's actually going to trine over to the south node and sextile the north node too. So we definitely have some interesting energies forming. We also have a Venus and Juno that are coming together in Leo as well. Venus, which of course has recently gone direct, but we also have to remember that Jupiter has recently gone retrograde. So let's go ahead and take a look at these aspects as they start to come to their fruition. We can just start off with this: the sun. The sun in Virgo. It's definitely, we're being a lot more analytical, kind of looking at the finer details in life. And it's interesting how with Virgo, they always, whenever you see like depictions of Virgo, it's always like, you know, a woman that's like very beautiful, has her makeup done, and looks very, very pure and stuff. Virgo likes to get their hands dirty. Like, this is all about it's all about service too. Um, I think it's interesting how it's like the planet that kind of, or the space in the zodiac that kind of rules getting your hands dirty, kind of doing the daily grind and stuff like that, is just showing someone that, you know, she has all of her makeup done and she just looks pure and everything like that. And there's a purity aspect to Virgo, absolutely, but it's also about where we put in that daily grind and that hard work. This is where we bundle up all the weed. This is where we rake all the freaking leaves, right? This is when we are planting the flowers and we're getting dirt underneath our fingernails and all that sort of stuff. You can always wash it off. I think whenever the sun comes into Virgo, people are afraid of doing the hard work or the daily work. But with the Mercury that's retrograde here, now that they are done with their Kazemi, now that the sun has, in a way, purified this mercurial energy, you're going to really start to see, we're over halfway through this Mercury retrograde now. You're really going to start to see, it's like, this is like a mental paradigm shift is needing to be happen. That's the only way that we're really going to be able to like kind of see our way out of these situations, is if we change the way that we think about things, change the way that we see our day-to-day reality and this physical matrix around us. That's the thing about Virgo too. It's about taking what's in the physical. This is like fixed earth, this Taurus. Virgo is about being the artist and taking what is in the physical and making it beautiful. But to make these things beautiful will require you to get a little dirty. It's going to require some sweat equity. And that's really what this comes down to: sweat equity. Are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to sweat for this? Are you willing to, by the end of the day, just be like, man, okay, that was a full day. I actually got some stuff done. Are you willing to put in that service? It's not going to come automatically, right? Coming off of that third quarter square to the sun that we had yesterday, definitely a moment here where it's like, you know what? Yeah, we are certainly, of course, with the moon in Gemini, certainly wanting to have those conversations and be curious and definitely looking for something to kind of excite us and get us going. But, it can be a little bit tough in a world where we now have a Jupiter as retrograde in Taurus. It can be tough to kind of, light that spark, if you will, especially with a Mars that's now in detriment in Libra. But at the same time, there's so many positive things happening with this astrology, even though a lot of things are turned inward, right? So when we move this moon forward, right, we're going to see it come to 25 degrees around 3:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is when it makes the trine over to the South Node in Ceres. And then this is also when it makes the sextile over to the North Node and Eris. Well, of course, a lot of times we definitely want to just go right towards the North Node, right? But this isn't about being overly self-centered to the point where you ostracize yourself, right? And if you look at Ceres, look at it. It's kind of this sickle. It's like what you use to kind of actually get the wheat, if you will. So it's about, there's this nurturing aspect to it. There's this harvesting aspect to it as well. This moon trining over to this spot. It's like, you know what? There may be some situations in our life where maybe we feel like we've been maybe overly diplomatic, like overly trying to balance things out just to keep the peace. And we have to ask ourselves, like, what is it that what opportunities can arise for us to really define our character? What opportunities are arising for us to really, come more into our own? And we can still, like I said, have some peace. We can still, find that balance in our life without outsourcing who we are. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't want to get so super caught up in just identity politics too, because that's what this comes down to. You don't want to get so caught up in just identity politics, but you want to go deeper. You want to go within. Guys, it'd be one thing if Mars was over here in this spot, but you know, that's the thing about this too. Chiron is still here with this energy. So it's like we can get, if you get so caught up on identity politics and whatever like that, and saying things like, because I have this physical characteristic, that means that this is going to happen to me, and that means this is going to, that means I had to come up against this. Maybe, but not necessarily the case. Especially with all these energies that are turned inward. Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, Eris, Chiron, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto. Like, this is a moment, seriously, where it's like we're driving, right? It's like your vehicle, and there's a lot of lights on the dashboard that you have to address. Check engine light. Maybe you're low on oil. Maybe you gotta fix your brakes. Maybe you have a light out. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got a headlight out or a tail light out. There's quite a few things that are going on here. And as you can see for the affirmation of the day, as it scrolls across the bottom of the screen, my imagination is my spirit's vehicle. My imagination is my spirit's vehicle. And I think really that what that comes down to is that, we're going to have, of course, this square over to Neptune as retrograde in Pisces, right? Now, at the same time that this is happening, we are going to see the moon also make the square over to Pallas Athena. We've been talking about Pallas Athena quite a bit over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, while it's been in Virgo, right? Because Pallas Athena kind of likes being in Virgo. It gives Pallas Athena a chance to kind of strategize and come up with a game plan. And she is a master strategist, right? So it gives her this opportunity to kind of come up with the game plan, figure out where she wants to go, figure out where she wants to put her troops, if you will, And it's kind of interesting too, because, she was born of Zeus's head. She was born of Jupiter's head. And it's funny, I think that it's interesting that she actually would prefer to be in Virgo and Jupiter would prefer to be in Pisces. So they're kind of opposites, right? That's the interesting thing about it. Jupiter is actually a little bit more emotional than Pallas Athena. Athena is a little bit more logical based, right? It's kind of interesting. But we're going to see this moon make this T square, if you will, with Pallas Athena and Neptune. And Vesta is also here too. Now, I know that there are some minor asteroids here, Pallas Athena and Vesta, right? And I've talked about them several times. And generally, you don't really pay attention to these minor asteroids. But when you have a sun in Virgo with Mercury here as well, This is about paying attention to the details. And this is a time I feel like, honestly, whenever the sun comes into Virgo, I want to really start paying attention to this now. I think this is a time where minor asteroids definitely become a lot more prevalent. Is whenever you have some energy in Virgo that's fixating on the energy of analyzing and kind of focusing on these smaller details. Remember, Jupiter is big picture. So Pisces, big picture. Virgo is the details. So that's the thing about this. When you have a moon that is in conjunction with Vesta, which I call the little flame within that never peters out, not this big boastful flame, not this giant just spark that's unruly and just wild. It's not a wildfire. It's a simple inner flame that never peters out, that is a point of inspiration where we can go to purify ourselves and to recalibrate our spirit in many ways, being here in Gemini, right? So this is wanting to bring out our curious side more and really tap more into that inner child too, right? When you have a moon here that's going to be in square to Neptune retrograde in Pisces and in square to Pallas Athena, this is definitely a moment where we definitely want to feel more of the renewal, if you will. We want to feel curious. We want to feel like we can go out into the world and explore and experiment, right? Pallas Athena is like, well, looking at some of the details, I was gonna say, what do you have a strategy for this? You know what I'm saying? When you go into the world, are you willing to kind of put in the work, if you will, to make those connections? And then the Neptune is retrograde here in Pisces, the natural 12th house. This is like, I'm Pisces energy is already like tough to put down because it has elements of every single zodiac sign, but this is a very subconscious thing with Neptune retrograde, and it's retrograde, so it's like it's awake, if you will. So it's like things from your subconscious could come out today where it may challenge is like, well, this is the reason why I can't do that thing, or this is the reason why I can't have that conversation, is because of this thing that happened to me in the past. It's probably gonna be the past. This thing happened to me. This thing happened to me. And you're becoming more and more and more aware of these things. This is going to be a time with this T square that is going to definitely challenge us to come back to that inner flame, if you will, and to try and find the balance between, the dream that we want to make happen, our imagination, if you will, and of course, how can we use this imagination, this the vehicle of our spirit, if you will, and how do we apply it to this world? How do we move about this world and mutate the world around us so we can manifest the life that we really want? That's what it comes down to. Your imagination is super powerful. It's the most powerful tool that you have at your disposal. I wouldn't even say disposal, but it's the most powerful tool that you have in your arsenal. But like any vehicle, it requires some maintenance. That's the thing about Virgo. This is about the daily maintenance. Some people just don't want to do it. They just want to have the vision and just have all the things and be like, yo, this is what I want to do. And just always live in that idealistic world, if you will. But you have to be able to take that ideal and also be able to see all of the different aspects and intricacies that will make that ideal not just an ideal, not just something that is, mystical or etheric or, have no form, but actually gives it some form, that actually gives it some structure, if you will. Especially now that we have a Jupiter that's retrograde in Taurus, this is an opportunity for us. It's like, even though there may be this sort of deflating kind of feeling, it's because you're not getting the stimulation from the outside world. Now it's coming to the inside world, and Jupiter is the explorer, and Taurus is like the physical reality. In many ways, it's physical stuff. It's money, it's finances, of course, it's self-worth, value. This is the time now where we have to take stock of everything that we have and what we do have on the reality, what we have manifested, and finding the journey in that. Looking around my apartment, I see memories, I see inspiration, I see different things, I see different tools, I see all these different adventures just packed into this one space right here. That is inspiring. This is about finding the adventure and what we already have and exploring and experimenting. This is going to be a great time for experimentation. It's like taking what you do have. This is like true alchemy in many ways. So it's like, all right, what do I have? What have I brought into my life? What have I manifested? Okay, all of these different things. Now, how can I experiment with these things? How can I revitalize the artist in me so I can take these things and transform it into something that is going to be a reflection of this greater sense of self-worth and value that I have for myself and gratitude that I have for the things that in my life. There's so much inspiration that is just like in our face right now that it can be like, but there's also so much static and about pay attention to this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing, trying to get us off our path. I think it's a time where it is good to be aware of things that are happening in the external world, but to allow those awarenesses to come in and take hold of us and to hold us from the inside is the danger. That's what you don't want to do, because if it holds you from the inside, then you're going to not be able to move. You're going to get depressed. You'll get anxiety. You'll be apprehensive. You won't want to move because you'll be like, well, what's the point? This is not a time to be like, well, what's the point? The point is that you are here, you are alive, you are blessed beyond measure. I know it doesn't, maybe sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but you are blessed. You have the gift of life. You're here. The chances of you even being here is a fucking miracle. So take that fact alone. Take that fact alone and come into your own. Like, remember, like, kind of purify your soul in many ways. Whenever the moon comes over to Vesta, it's sort of like a purification of our soul, you know. And the moon in many ways also represents like past lives. So whenever the moon comes over to Vesta, this is about purifying past lives. This could be a moment where you kind of come into, I'm getting like the Avatar vibes. I'm getting like when Aang met all of the previous avatars and stuff like that. Or this can be when Midoriya and My Hero Academia, this is about like all of the people that had One for All, that quirk, and how it all coalesces into him and what is he going to do with that. So similar to you have certain quirks and superpowers that have been passed down to you, and the memory of all the people in the past that had that superpower, and now you're the one, you are the holder, you are the torch holder, right? What are you going to do when you're holding that torch? Are you going to just let it go? Or are you going to do something, and are you going to expand and expound upon that superpower that's been given to you? And realize that, you are being guided right now by angels, by your ancestors, by loved ones that have passed on. This is a very powerful time to just recognize what we have in our life to be grateful for, and realize that we have all the tools that we really need to succeed. So I mean, you're going to see that moon come into Cancer, and that's really going to be more of a Friday aspect, coming like early. Oh gosh, it did that. I didn't mean for it to do that, but it's going to be like early in the morning when the moon comes into Cancer, right? So by this time, of course, you can see that the sun is at 15 degrees and it's trining over to Jupiter. Positive aspect, right? 1 plus 5 is 6, so that comes down to the Venus energy. Venus, of course, is direct in Leo, and this is interesting too, because here's the thing, though. Leo's, of course, the lion, right? And prides and lion culture, it's generally the females that do the hunting. Well, Venus was retrograde. She wasn't hunting. She broke a nail. She broke a tooth, maybe. It's probably really painful and shit. Wasn't really feeling up to it and stuff. So that means the males had to hunt. Now, males can hunt. They just don't always hunt. They like to look beautiful and, you know, they have like their beautiful manes and shit. And they'll fight each other, for territory and stuff, but they don't really do a lot of the hunting. So when Venus was retrograde, the male lions were hunting. Probably are finding out that it's a little more difficult than they realized. They're probably fucking up quite a bit too. But now because they had the females going after having their eye on the prize and getting what they wanted, right? The meat, the food, the sustenance. Now Venus is direct, of course, which is cool, right? So the male lions are like, okay, now you can start hunting again. Venus is like, well, yeah, but we've been eating zebra for like the last, 2 weeks. I kind of want to go for a gazelle this time. You know what I mean? Now, I know that's like a weird ass example because I'm sure a lion will go after whatever it can and be opportunistic and go after whatever. But that's kind of what this is. It's like maybe you've been consuming kind of the same thing for a long time. And Venus retrograde, I mean, Venus coming direct, but it's still in shadow. It's like us kind of reconsidering where our appetites may be, creativity wise, where we are wanting to, what our desires and what we're kind of wanting, what kind of shiny things that we want in our life, kind of recalibrating that. Maybe even this could even be a time with Venus going direct in Leo, where it's like, you know what, maybe this is a time where we kind of almost sell off some of our shiny things. You know what I mean? Because we realize that there's something greater that we're looking for, like a higher purpose, if you will. Maybe we're not just focused on the simple shiny things that we have, but we actually take those shiny things and we actually put them to use for us, and we don't just stare at them and marvel at them, right? Especially now with a Juno that's coming into contact with Venus, this is definitely about a greater commitment, if you will. I wouldn't be surprised if I see relationships start to form during this time. There were a lot of breakups with Venus retrograde. A lot, a lot of breakups. I would not be surprised with Venus now coming direct with Juno there if you start to see new relationships pop up. Now, they will be challenging though, because these are going to be starting with not only a whole bunch of planets that are retrograde, but a Venus that's still in shadow, and a Mars that's in Libra. So I don't know if it's necessarily the best time to start a new relationship, but with Juno there, it definitely can happen. And it can definitely happen to where it's like you don't want to necessarily just jump into situations and like, because, there's still a shiny aspect to the whole Venus and Leo thing. You don't want to necessarily jump into situations and relationships that and like commit yourself to them, if you will, because you think it's going to bring some type of harmony or balance, or because you just were trying to feel as good as possible. This is going to come more exact while the moon is in Cancer. So, well, actually, no, the moon will actually be in Leo once it comes more exact, but you're going to start to feel it starts to build up. Do you really like, is this really a time where it's like you have to ask yourself, it's like, well, if I jump into this thing, is this really going to be something that I, in the future, will I look back on this moment and I'll be like, yeah, that was the right decision? Or will I look back on it, it's like, yeah, I was just trying to feel good and, maybe it wasn't necessarily the best decision. That's the whole Virgo energy with Mercury retrograde and the sun here and Pallas Athena. We have to ask ourselves, like, well, where can we re-strategize? Where can we go about this a little bit differently? How can we adjust our approach? So I'm not saying like, not get into relationships or not try anything new. I'm just saying to kind of be careful because the shininess of it, it may be shiny, but maybe you have to buffer it out. Maybe you have to clean it. You know what I mean? That's the other part about it. It's like, are you willing to kind of, polish things off? That's the thing about it. Are you willing to kind of polish silverware? Are you willing to polish your jewelry? Are you willing to polish it off? Or is it going to be like, oh, it's dirty. I don't want to do it anymore. Or like those people that have like buttloads of money that don't wear the same shirt twice. I feel for those people. I feel for those people. It's like they can't wear the same thing twice. I think that that's absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, okay, you're the reason why we probably have an obscene amount of clothes in the world, and people just keep producing more and more and more and more and more and more clothes because you can't have the same piece of fabric touch you twice, which is such a weird, weird, weird thing. But are you going to be kind of like that, and be like, yo, like utilize what you have? I mean, there's some people in the world that have only had one pair of shoes like for 20 fucking years. Now, I don't think that that's right either, but we have like the extremes on both ends. Are you wearing the same pair of shoes for 20 years, or do you only wear a pair of shoes one time? Imagine how many pairs of shoes that is. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, but I'm buying more stuff and I'm stimulating the economy. Yeah, but then there's just so much stuff out there now too. And it ultimately causes waste because there's not going to be enough people to buy back those things. It ultimately will cause waste. So we have to look at ourselves, where maybe are we causing some waste? That's the other thing about Pisces energy is that it rules waste. And Saturn's there too, right? So where in our life are we potentially being wasteful with our energy? It's about taking that energy and being, intentional about it, especially with all these energies in Virgo, being intentional about it and realizing that, we can utilize our imagination to really, really propel ourselves forward, even in a time where it may feel like things aren't really moving forward that fast, but seemingly so many things are happening. I think it's because, like I said, it was either in yesterday's video or the other day, but it's like we kind of have like the defibrillator of like clear, and we're trying to revive this amalgamation beast of a society that we've created, and it's dead. Okay, it's dead, right? Now we're still having to deal with the stench of it. You have to discard it, and that's what we're dealing with right now. So we can actually create something new and more positive and more uplifting, something that's going to actually unite humanity. That's what we're striving for. But there's also this element where there's like this defibrillator, clear, ting, we're trying to revive old situations, old patterns, old ways of being, and it's just not working. So let it go. Let it go. You know what I mean? There's a time like I just and really what we have to let go is not necessarily like dreams that we've had or whatever like that, but it's about letting go of this our preconceived notions on what we thought this world was going to be or what we thought this world was, when there's so much more to uncover and there's so much more to this world than we have been taught and then what we realize. The only way to really tap into that is to go within yourself and not listen to all of the noise around you, right? Even me, you got to go within yourself and be like, okay, what is like I'm a spiritual counselor. I look at the stars, I translate them, and I give that information to you, and I use it. I do it to empower you, to inspire you, to motivate you to become your greatest self. But even still, you have to take that time for yourself and go within, right? There's only so much I can do or say, you know? You have to go within yourself and tap in to spirit yourself and establish that relationship, Your relationship with the divine is your relationship with the divine. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It's your relationship with the divine. What we can do is to, you know, empower each other and inspire each other to have the best relationship with the divine that they can have. That's what we can do for each other. So let's go ahead and get to the cards. So remember tonight, guys, we will be doing the tarot report for all 12 signs. It will be live I'm probably going to put it around 7:30 or so is when I'm going to do it. I'm going to schedule it probably right after this. So you'll see it pop up here on the YouTube, on my YouTube page here after I finish this recording and after it uploads. So, but yep, that'll be later on tonight around 7:30ish. It may be a little bit later. Just kind of really depends upon, when I get home, kind of get settled in and stuff like that, and get everything going. So, but yeah, definitely you don't want to miss that. So, and also too, what I'll probably end up doing is that I will open up after I do the 12 signs, I will open up and do a further reading on anyone that wants cards drawn for themselves, like personally. I'll open that up. That will be paid though, so it will just be like a basic, like, if you want like 3 cards done, it'll be like $10. If you want like 5 cards done, it'll be like $20, something like that. You know what I mean? Or $15 or something like that. So I haven't quite come up exactly with what it'll be yet, but that'll be later on tonight. So, and I will have that open for anybody that wants it. So, all right, guys, let's see what we got going on the cards. Well, we have the card of morality. I want to say this is the Queen of Swords in this deck. So, yeah, we have the card of morality. Well, it's interesting. Her head is in the clouds. You can't see her eyes. She can't really see anything, right? So this kind of gives me kind of justice vibes. It might be the justice card too. We could judge the world around us. And we have a tendency to judge the world around us, right? Because we will see different things and we'll have different evidences that pop up to us that make us think, okay, this is this. But when we kind of close our eyes and we kind of feel the energy instead, then we can make a more accurate judgment of the situation. But when we're so paying attention to everything that we see around us and we don't take the time to go within, then it's hard to really judge, if you will, situations and to be like, okay, is this for my greater good or is this going to be not good for me? All right, this person, that person. You have to ask yourself, you have to like tune all of that out, man. Tune all of it out, right? So we also have the card of the mind in reverse. And we also have going with the flow. Yeah, this is definitely a day where you want to tune out all of the static. This is going to be a day where you really want to definitely meditate, definitely meditate, kind of go with the flow of things. Any preconceived notions that you have in your head on how you think your situation is supposed to look like, how you think the world is supposed to look like, you have to just be able to like come at this from an angle where you aren't bringing any previous like information and knowledge and like all that sort of stuff. You can bring all that to the table and be like, well, because of this, and this is why I can't do this thing, or this is why I had this opinion on this. That's not going to be what helps you today. But it's interesting. Her head is in the clouds too. So it's like your morality could be clouded too. You have to ask yourselves, like, where is my morality clouded? Are you willing to kind of just go with the flow of how things happen? If you get so caught up in wanting your day to look a certain way, and if weird things come up throughout the day, remember to kind of go with the flow of things, because things are shifting. We are in 6 planets retrograde and quite a few asteroids retrograde too. So it's not necessarily the easiest energy, right? Oh, crap. Another freaking light came on in my car. Another thing I got to fix. I'll fix it. Don't wait. Fix it. So you can move forward, and not get stuck. You don't want to get stuck on the side of the road. You don't want to get stuck on the side of the spiritual road. Like, this is a time right now where if you don't check all the lights, stuff like that, in your imagination, that spiritual vehicle, you will get stuck on the side of the esoteric road, and you're going to want a freaking tow truck. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. On these esoteric streets, the tow truck, when you call that tow truck, it's going to take the tow truck a long time to get there. Why? Because so many people are going to get stuck on the side of these esoteric streets. So you are probably going to be like the 20th, 50th, maybe 100th person in line waiting for a tow truck to come and pick your ass up. Or are you going to be like, okay, what tools do I have? All right, shoot, like I have a spare tire. Okay, let me replace the tire. Oh well, I'm like the 50th person in this line. It's going to take them hours. It's going to take them days to get to me. Well, shoot, let me walk on the. All right, where's the nearest auto shop? Oh, it's 5 miles away. Okay, I'll walk. And I'll get the tools I need, walk back, and fix my car and go on. You don't want to get stuck on the side of the road, on the side of the esoteric street, side of the spiritual street, because a lot of people are going to get stuck on the side of the road, and they have the tools to not be stuck on the side of the road, but they're going to be too afraid to do it, and they're not going to have the willingness to go within and to find those tools and to help them get out of that situation. So rainbow blessings again. Blessings are showering your life. I got this card again this week. So many things to be grateful for. So many things that we have that actually are working out in our favor. And we have to just adjust the way that we look at them, recalibrate in many ways, and experiment. Because you may not be using it to its highest capacity, its greatest capacity. But just because, you know what I mean? That's the thing. You have the tool. It's enough to have the tool, but how do you use it differently? It's kind of like how Ash Ketchum, when he does his Pokemon battling, how he'll use different Pokemon moves to his advantage. Like Pikachu's Iron Tail. And he used it in, I think it was like the Diamond and Pearl series, where he used the Iron Tail to, or was it that one, or was it, anyways, he used the Iron Tail to like have Pikachu climb up and get the higher advantage, right? I think it was like a Draco Meteor that his opponent was using, and he actually had his Pikachu use Iron Tail, which is like a physical move that you'll smack someone upside the head with. He used the tool not to attack, but to get to a higher vantage point over the opponent's Pokemon, and then Pikachu came down and laid the smackdown on him. That's what you got to do. You got to use your tools differently. Maybe you've been used, like maybe you have like a sword which is used for slashing people. Maybe you use that to freaking, dig a hole or till the ground or something. Or if you have a shield that normally you use like shield, maybe you use that as a raft. You know what I'm saying? Like this is about utilizing what you have and realizing that its functions go beyond what our preconceived notions of it are. It's a lot more mutable. There's a lot more to this than we give credit for. So yeah, that's going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you would like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, I'm actually going to be restructuring my readings. I'm going to be adding more and getting actually more particular about them. That's one thing I'm realizing that I'm going to have to do too, especially because my Jupiter is in Virgo and my midheaven is in Virgo. So it actually needs to be more particular. So I'm going to be restructuring those. But if you would like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed. I will see you all on the tarot report for all 12 signs later on tonight. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful Thursday. Peace.